Dear Journal, today I present the final entries on the pages of my book, as I present the findings of what we have discovered on our journeys. For the years that we have traveled and sailed these seas, we have discovered many things. We have discovered the secrets of the Void Century. We have learned the names of the three ancient weapons, known as Pluton, Uranus, and Poseidon, and the dangers that they hold. We also learned about the famous last island known as Laugh Tale, a place that once we visited, we all laughed. Oh, hello there. Yeah, so just putting out a journal. Just like what's wrong with having a journal? What's wrong with doing a logbook? I mean, come on, There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Enough jokes aside, all right. That was probably a crappy opening and like that. I mean, but hey, it's an opening. What are you gonna do? All right. Okay. So, what's the premises of this video, and why exactly start off with like a journal or a logbook? Like, is this well, this is more like a Yamato kind of video. Okay, so just like a couple of days ago, not too long ago, I did a lookout for carrot video, and that was basically that was basically giving my general thoughts and sort of explaining like the general aspect of why Carrie makes such a good lookout. Does that necessarily mean that she has to be the lookout for the Strike crew if Oda chooses it? No, not necessarily. I mean, she doesn't have to be if Oda doesn't want that. I mean, I've said it before. This is Oda's story. He can tell it the way he wants. But in reality, Carrot would make a perfect lookout. She's got the great qualifications for it. She obviously was shown to be, well, matter of fact, most of the places that we've seen her in was in the lookouts nest. And I mean, heck, reality is, like I said, she's perfect for that role, and if she does join the Strike crew, that's perfect where she belongs. Now, this is basically a Yamato version of it, where I'm basically going to be laying down some aspects and going over some general concepts of why, like what kind of role or position that Yamato could fill. Now, each of the Straw Hats have a very unique position that they fill, but it's not necessarily like none of the other Straw Hats don't know how to fill that role exactly. I mean, some of them more than others, all right? All right, so let's lay them out down real quick and it's like that. So we have Luffy as the captain. We have Zoro, who is usually referred to as a combatant or a fighter, in a way. Then you have Nami as the navigator. You have Usopp as the sniper. You have Sanji as the cook. Chopper is the doctor. Robin is the archaeologist. Frankie is the shipwright. Brook is the musician, and Jinbei is the helmsman. Helmsmen are the one who basically steer the ship, if you're not familiar with the term. Now, I mentioned before that carrot make a good lookout, right? So carrot's obviously good for the lookout, right? So, and since I'm on the carrot train, I'm basically going to give carrot the lookout spot. So, since I already gave carrot the lookout, I'm sorry, Yamato, you can't have the lookout. But don't worry, I got something else for Yamato in mind. So, going over basically sort of context, and everybody else has sort of given their own thoughts and theories on this as well, on what they believe that Yamato would be if she actually joined the Strike crew. Like, what role could she actually fulfill? Like, what would be the best thing for her exactly? Now, a lot of people are basically going over some general concept and ideas on what Yamato could specifically be. Now, one of the main things that a lot of people bring up is basically, well, what if she does something very similar to what Odin did? And now, what Odin did, now, we have to understand like Odin's journey exactly, how it basically ended up to basically understand this. So, all right, so we all know that Odin himself wanted to basically leave Wano like that. He wanted to go on an adventure. All right, he was tired of being like basically kept in Wano, basically trapped on this island with nowhere to go. Oh, he wanted to go out there and see the world. Now, that does not mean that Odin hated Wano. That does not mean that Odin despised Wano and like that. No, he loved Wano very much. I mean, it was his home, and he respected it very much. But he wanted to go out there on an adventure. All right. And so basically, to start with his journey, and he first met up with Whitebeard, and sailed on Whitebeard's crew for a little while, and then he met Roger, and Roger wanted to find this hidden island, and the only way to find it were reading these 4 row poneglyphs. Unfortunately, Roger could not actually read the poneglyphs or what they said, so he needed someone who knew how to read them. He found out about Odin, and basically Roger had made a request with Whitebeard to let me borrow Odin for a year so I can find this hidden island. So basically, that's the end of that story. And while Odin was on his journeys and like that, he kept a logbook, he kept a journal. Now, he basically had stated that he had heard navigators had kept logbooks and stuff like that, and that's true. Navigators do tend to keep logbooks and stuff like that, keep journals about the places that they go to keep track of their navigations and stuff like that, to where they go and where they came from. That's a very important thing. Now, a lot of people are wondering, well, Nami's already the navigator, so what's the point? If you're saying like journals were kept because of logbooks, navigators for logbooks, then what are you trying to say? Now the basic premise of what I'm trying to say here is this: is that Odin was. I'm not going to assume that Odin was the navigator of the Whitebeard pirates or even the Roger pirates. No, but he did keep a journal to keep very useful information about the travels that he had come across and stuff like that. And whoever came across this book would probably just read it. So. And the thing we gotta understand is that you can write, like, there are many different ways to literally write out a journal and how you present it, right? It doesn't always have to be like the same kind of thing. So take for instance, if Nami has her own logbook that's basically to represent like the travels of the islands itself, to focus more on that, that's fine. So you can still have Nami have her own type of logbook, her own type of journal that focuses on the going to islands and stuff like that, while Yamato's could be more story wise, more story wise, right? Instead of it being more like on the theoretical or um real presenting life scale as a modeling kind of detour, as a simple model, rather than going into specific details on the story itself, presenting a general concept and idea of like how it actually played out, like what exactly happened, instead of it being like, take for instance, like if you read Nami's version, and it's basically just like a picture or with the island itself, while Yamato's version is actually presented as a story of like what actually went on in that island itself, like what actually happened in specific details exactly. Now, could this actually happen? Maybe, maybe not. We don't actually know for sure. We'll have to wait to see, but it could be a possibility. Now, what are some good ideas to present, like why we can believe that Yamato could be the chronicler of the Strike crew? And basically, some chronicler is just someone who chronicles the adventures of, basically someone who keeps track of the adventures itself. Basically, chronicles it down, and basically like a journal or a logbook, stuff like that. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, and like I said, a chronicler, someone keeping a journal, a chronicler can be used in many different ways, right? It doesn't have to be one specific way exactly. Depending on how you write it and how you choose to phrase your words in your logbook and your journal, can be really read in many different ways. So you can probably have two different people have two specific kinds of logbooks for specific reasons. And Nami does a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, not only is she like the navigator, but she's also like the merchant of the Strike crew, because she loves money and stuff like that. Plus, she's the one who's really got to keep track of Luffy's money. Like, she's the one who basically gets to really decide how much Luffy gets to spend, and like what he's allowed to spend and stuff like that. And it's like most of the time Luffy will go out and like he'll probably take all his money and say like oh, that's so cool, I gotta buy that. He spends all his money. He ends up buying it. Unfortunately, he goes back to his ship and is like, Luffy, where's that thing you were supposed to buy? Oh, I didn't have any money for it, so I bought this thing instead. And isn't this cool? Isn't this like freaking cool? Oh man, I wish I had something in my hand. That's just gonna make me look like, like, isn't this freaking cool? Like, isn't this cool? It's so cool. And Nami gets all pissed off and just like starts beating the crap out of him. Just starts beating the crap out of his spirit. It's like, oh man. Okay. All right. Enough jokes aside for that. Okay. So we had our funny moments. Okay. Now, because Odin basically kept a journal, which basically kept in touch about his journeys and what transpired and like what had happened, like where they had gone, what they had seen in Odin's journal. Like, we don't know specifically, because it was mentioned that we find out like a couple of chapters ago, not too long ago, we found out that Momo was basically replying to Yamato that his father had tore out the most crucial pages of Odin's logbook and stuff like that. But we do know from a flashback from Odin's point that he did mention, and that when he was writing in his journal, that he basically was narrating to us through not like, we couldn't actually see the logbook exactly, we couldn't actually see him writing it, but we could hear his voice as he was talking through narration, explaining what was like what we had found and what we had seen. And we have this, and basically the things that he mentioned, we discovered the secrets of the Void Century, we discovered the hidden island Laugh Tale. We discovered the secrets of the three ancient weapons, and stuff like that. So we do know that there are some things about it as well. And because these most crucial pages were exactly like ripped out and kept hidden, could lead us to a good standing point, as in a way for Yamato to refill that point to give us those most crucial pages. Now, the thing about this is and that's a good thing to look at. That's a good possibility to look at. But there's also a bit of a problem wrong with that, is that the chances of that equaling up are kind of like 1 in a million. Like generally that's how it is. Because all right, so take for instance, like we don't actually know what pages exactly were ripped out. Like we do know it was the most important of the final pages, all right? Like the most important of the final pages. But what we don't know exactly, where does that begin and where does it end, all right? I mean, we do know that Momo has stated that he now realizes why he cannot die here and why that's important that he cannot die. But to us as the readers of the audiences, we don't actually understand that ourselves. It's like, okay, so there's something going on here. And like, when Odin and them ride the laugh tail and stuff like that, when they ride that laugh tail out and they discovered all this stuff, and basically they stated that they got there too early and stuff like that. Is that they got there too early, and then Roger stated, well, it'll be my son to find the One Piece. And I guess Odin thought, like, wait, your son, it's like, which makes you like literally think when you hear that. It's like when Roger basically stated like it'll be my son to find the One Piece, but a lot of them mention, Roger, you don't have a son. And then you have then Odin like then finding out in like these chapters in Wano and Onigashima that Yamato basically stated to Momo that Momo, you are the one to lead these people to their dawn, to the dawn, which almost makes you think that Odin himself had the same idea that, well, wait, why should your son be the one? Maybe it'll be my son. I have a son right now. Maybe it'll be him, which literally gets you to think is that when they arrived at area, it was stated that the prophecy of Joyboy returning can it has to happen at a Pacific time exactly, and find out that they were 20 years too soon, literally makes you see the point. Like, okay, if these two people believe that their child is the one to lead the dawn on, is like the reincarnation of Joy Boy or whatever it is, like whatever it turns out to be, whatever it was exactly, we'll have to wait till we actually get there to Laugh Tale to know for sure. Really, sort of tells us is that most likely is that there was no specific name presented on who was arrived at Laugh Tale exactly. I mean, beyond this, it's probably like whoever was meant to be. Now, like in a lot of cases, a lot of people are not into the whole destiny prophecy kind of thing for Luffy exactly. But in reality, it does seem like that's the way the story is going. Now, does that make that a bad thing? No. But it can be a bad thing if the story is written in a bad way to piss off audiences, right? So, in a lot of cases, I think a lot of people will be okay with it as long as Luffy is kept to himself, like being Luffy who he is. So, a little bit of a destiny, a little bit of prophecy is probably no big deal. It's probably not a bad thing, all right? But as long as Luffy is kept as Luffy, and that we are not like to basically change this character that we love, I don't think it's really so much of a problem. As long as Oda is writing it in a professional way that basically keeps the audience intact and makes them understand, okay, this is the way the story goes. Now we know exactly that for Yamato, for Odin's logbook, which she had found not long after the castle had burned and stuff like that, she basically presented it as to us as she said this was my Bible. This was basically her inspiration. Yamato has basically always referred to herself as Odin and stuff, like she was always wanted to be Odin. Now, we have to basically understand, like, what exactly does Yamato mean by this? It's like, okay, so Yamato knows she's the child of Kaido, right? And she refers to herself as the son of Kaido, but she knows that she's technically the daughter of Kaido, right? So she knows her real name is Yamato, right? She knows that, right? She knows that she's the child of Yamato. She knows that, right? And she knows that she's not literally Odin himself, right? She knows that exactly, right? Even though a lot of people, whenever she goes up to him and says, "I'm Odin," and they all get freaked out, or like they question her in anger, like, "How can you be Odin? Odin was someone else. You're not Odin. Who the hell are you?" And you see, that's the thing is that Yamato, while she admires and respects Odin a lot, she knows that she's not Odin exactly, right? It's more of like, Yamato is basically admired by Odin exactly and what he had accomplished and what he achieved and how well he was liked and loved. Yamato basically wants that same aspect for herself. Oh, it's like, okay, so because Odin was such a great guy who was loved by everyone and became a well-respected samurai in his own rights, Yamato basically wants to fill that goal as well. through her own point, and she sees Odin as sort of a modeling, as sort of like an inspirational model for that, to basically give her confidence in that. So it's not to say that Yamato sees herself as Odin literally, even though she calls herself Odin, and it's more in tone with the line of I respect that man, and I wish I could be just like that man. All right, so it's kind of like that. All right, so it's like I respect who that person was, and I wish I could be just like that person was. All right, it's just like that. Now, some people might disagree with me on that. That's fine. I'm not here to change their opinions, right? I'm just here to basically give it out through my point of view and my aspect, right? That's all I'm saying. Now, what are some of the good aspects of if Yamato was the Chronicler? How exactly could this work? Well, we could look at it in general as this. All right, so when I did my why I believe that roles such as Tama, Momo, and Law were not going to join the Straw Hat Crew. And what I basically presented that on the Law part is I basically stated that a lot of people basically give reasons on why Law is going to join the Straw Hat Crew is because he wants to know about the void century, right? He wants to know the truth. But I basically presented my aspect by saying is I believe everyone is going to know the truth, all right? I literally believe everyone is going to know the truth because think of it like this. If this is supposed to be we're basically presented when Roger and them went to Laugh Tale and they said that they arrived there too early, and yet the Straw Hats get there and they're the ones who are supposed to arrive there at Laugh Tale at that specific time that was needed. Are we basically going to get the same thing over again where it's oh, well, we were too early, guys. we arrived here too early. Look, the thing specifically lately, we got here one day too early. We were supposed to come here tomorrow. All right, guys, we got to go. We're not the ones who are supposed to be here. All right, guys, pack your things up. We got here too early. It's oh, damn. Oh, man. I want all this treasure. But no, I don't think we're going to necessarily get that. Now, am I saying that they're not going to go to Lapdale? No, not at all. So please do not misunderstand me, all right? Please do not misunderstand me. I do believe they are going to go to Lapdale, all right? But I do believe everyone is going to know the truth. The whole world is going to know the truth. How is this going to be exactly? I'm not sure. We can look at maybe Yamato keeping a book, basically chronicling the things exactly of what transpired and happened. Basically giving us exact details on the prophecies and what exactly happens in Wonders, and then maybe they find some way to get this information out, and then how they get information out, who knows? Maybe a certain big news Morgan kind of guy, maybe they find some way to talk to him. Who knows? Could be. Look, I can't exactly predict or give an exact detail or an answer what kind of position that Yamato would fill exactly. Who knows? Maybe Odin could invent a brand new role that's never really been used on pirate ships in general before. Take for instance Robin. Robin is an archaeologist, right? Now in reality, in old times, archaeologists did sail on ships before, right? So it's not like archaeologists have never sailed on ships before, especially during old times and stuff like that. They were used in to help dig up ice and basically give in context of scholars and information on digging sightings and stuff like that. But they weren't exactly always presented on pirate crews exactly because pirates aren't literally into searching history itself. They're more of just burying our treasures. Matey, just burying our treasures and buying the sailing seas. Shiver me timbers, mateys. Like that. So, I mean, sure, there might be some, but it's not it's always conceivably remembered. I mean, think about that for a second. In any kind of pirate movie that you remember seeing, no matter if it's live action or animation, no matter what it is, how often do you ever see anyone say, bring me the archaeologist, bring me the archaeologist, bring me the archaeologist, we gotta talk, matey. I honestly do not remember that. Maybe there were a few, but not enough to make me log in my noggin. Okay, so, look. Right now, this is very good aspect and why we can see this as a possibility, right? So, Yamato, for this, it could be a good way for Yamato to chronicle her adventure, right? So, basically, not only can she basically chronicle her adventures with the Straw Hats, but she can also she can also chronicle her adventures with the Straw Hats exactly, but she can basically chronicle the true history of the world, and by presenting the final pages exactly, what exactly are those final pages? And what I mean by that is imagine how insane it would be if where Yamato's journey begins with chronicling these pages are sort of the missing pages of Odin's logbook, and we basically get that hidden story, that final pages that we're missing. Now, do those pages have to be exactly the same 100%? No. not 100%. But we could look at inspiration by saying, like, okay, well, if they're not 100%, but could they still be close enough to basically give us helpful information, enough to please us and make us think, okay, that's interesting. That is amazing. And, I think I would be okay with that. I think anybody would be okay with that. It's a good possibility. It's not a bad one when you think about it. It's really not. But overall, we don't know what kind of position that Yamato would fill in the crew, right? All right. So she could be many different things, right? It could be many possibilities, right? We won't actually know exactly. And I should mention that Yamato. Let me be very clear that Yamato is not exactly. Odin has not exactly told us that Yamato has joined the crew, even though he's presented us with actions of Yamato asking to join the crew, or even stating to us that she's going to join Luffy's crew. But you never know. No, there could be many possibilities on this, and because Odin kept the journal, he kept the logbook to chronicle the adventures and things like that. Maybe we can see something very similar with Yamato, where she chronicles the adventures as well. Basically giving us details, and then basically presenting that to the world exactly, like basically giving information to the world, letting everyone know the truth, allowing people to really read and understand what actually happens, what actually goes on. The secrets must be revealed. Reveal your secrets and show us the world, or whatever. Okay, and look, in all aspects, the one thing we know for sure is that Yamato wants to help. Overall, we know one thing for sure. Yamato wants to help Luffy. She wants to help Luffy achieve his goals, right? She knows what Luffy's dream is, right? Ace told her, and he asked her not to laugh about it. Even though a lot of people laugh about it because they think it's funny, Yamato basically stated that she would never laugh at him. And overall, I think because she knows very well that her father does not deserve to be king of the pirates, and the fact that she wants to sail with Luffy, and I basically mentioned that Yamato wants to sail with the crew because she wants to be able to make friends, right? She wants to be able to prove that her race can become friends and stuff like that. She basically wants to free that burden. And to her, she believes the only way to do that is to sail with the person who truly believes that he is going to be king of the pirates. And I feel like it's important for Yamato to basically chronicle the final adventures of Luffy's journey. It's always the final pages in every story that you read when it comes to basically giving us the most dynamic and specific, heartfelt situations in the things that you're reading, because they are some of the most important things that have to be fleshed out. And I feel like that can be important. So that's basically all. That's all I have for this video and stuff like that. That's basically my general aspect of what I believe for Yamato. So look, I can't, I've said this already before, and for the heck of it, I'm just going to say it again, all right? I cannot guarantee 100% that Yamato is going to be a chronicler on the Strike Crew, all right? She could be any possible thing, all right? None of us really know, all right? But a chronicler is not a bad idea, all right? It's not a bad idea, and I can see it as a possibility. So that's it. That's all I have for the video. So thank you so much. Generally, thank you so much for watching this video. If you got a chance to watch it, I really appreciate it very much. Feel free to like the video if you like the video. Go ahead and leave a comment down below on some of your thoughts and theories and journal. Anything you think about. Like what are some of your ideas on Yamato joining the Strike Crew exactly? I'd love to hear other people's ideas. Come on, let me know. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel and stuff like that. And hit the notification bell. I'd also like to mention that I started my own Twitter page and stuff like that, where I'll basically be giving posts and updates, and I'll give details and basically giving details on a video I might make and stuff like that. Sometimes I might put out a video before I make a post. But so basically you can follow me on Twitter or like that, and you can basically sort of help keep more up to date on what I might present in my video. So overall, thank you so much for getting the chance to watch this video. I really appreciate it, and you all have a great day. Bye now.